Hey everybody, welcome to another video. It never fails. Last week, what did we have? We had people running by my window, mowing the lawn. We had a bandage on my head. This week, I've got a terrible flu. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but I got, the light's usually dim when I'm recording, so maybe you can't see my eyes glazed over, but forgive me if I sniffle during this one. I tell you, I can't wait till this winter's, well, technically the winter is over. It's supposed to be the first day of spring was like a week ago, but apparently it's just lingering on. I woke up this morning, there's snow on the ground again up here in Michigan. So I tell you, just getting beat up left and right. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to record these videos, so I have to record them when I got time, and it never fails. Something's bothering me, or something's happening, something's interfering with doing that. So just bear with me. We're going to continue with our Marvel comic books from 40 years ago by week. And being that this, again, I'm recording this week early, just in case I slip up, so just bear with me on that one as well. But this is going to be week 15. And I just posted today week 14. So next week I'll post this because it will be week 15 of April, so the second week of April of 2025, but of course we're doing comics from 40 years ago, Marvel comics specifically. And there's some good ones in this one, so let's jump into it kind of quick. Before I do that, let me just show you something here. This isn't, I don't know if this is the best website to use for this. Oh wait, I don't actually have the website open at the moment. Don't worry, the website's not very good. That's not really the point. My point was, remember how I was always saying, we can't just have the modern age be 1985 to now, right? That's exactly 40 years ago. So one comic book age can't last for 40 years. Not when we had the golden age was like around 15. Silver age, I believe, was 15. The bronze age was 15. So we had 3 ages in what, 45 years, or sorry, I can't do my math. Yeah, 45 years. So we can't say 40 years after 1985 is all the modern age. And of course, I did some digging. Yeah, obviously people probably already know this. I just wasn't aware of it. I checked into it, and they have what's called the Copper Age. They have a couple other ages. Some people get a little too crazy with them, but I really like the Copper Age, and the reason I like it is because, ironically, it's it's pretty much year for year my entire bulk of my comic book reading and collecting from that time period. The Copper Age would be, they say 1984. I still consider 1984 part of the Bronze Age, but let's just humor them and say it's 84. 84 to 91. The year I graduated high school, which is also the year I really stopped collecting comics. And the end of 91 into, I think it was the end of 91 when that Jim Lee X-Men came out, and then the Image stuff started up. But I picked up maybe, I could have said maybe 10, 15 comics between 91 and like 93. I was done. So it's funny how they consider the Copper Age the years I was collecting. And so I guess I'm the Copper Kid. Or I was a Copper Kid. I'm not a kid anymore. But so I like that because obviously bronze, copper, lead would be tin, I don't know. Fool's gold, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I like that. I like that because I like it because it's, obviously it's right when my comics were, my bulk of my collecting, which is pretty much all my teenage years. It's literally 11 years old to senior in high school. So let's just say 18. I turned 18 in July out of high school in 91. So that's, 11 to 18. That's not all of 11, but we'll just say benefit of the doubt, yes, all of 11. So 1 through 8, 8 years of comic book collecting. That said, I really would say I was really done by 89. 89 is kind of like where I really mentally checked out. But this being at 1985 that we're doing here, we're kind of, let's just start with that, because like I said, the Bronze Age kind of goes up to 84, and I didn't start collecting until the summer out of 5th grade, so I really didn't collect the whole year. So my real first full year of collecting comics was this year, 85. So I'm going to start it there. So 85, for me, 85 to 89, I was done, really. But I kept going. The reason I was done is because that's when Rogue went through the Siege Perilous, and I said, I'm out. Even though, and I just, the only ones I was collecting really at that time was, I still was getting Spider-Man, still got the X-Men, even though I was kind of done with them. And I didn't, I didn't get them right off the bat at that time. I remember I had to go back and get a few, because I just kind of stopped paying attention. I think, like, I can't remember exactly how it went, but but She-Hulk, obviously I still was collecting She-Hulk, and Byrne was still on She-Hulk, I believe, till the end of 89 or whatever. But once Byrne kind of stopped his run, I know he came back, but once he stopped his run on the She-Hulk and Rogue's no longer in the picture, I was just like, I'm out. But like I said, for the benefit of the doubt, let's just say 85 to 91. Okay, it's a Copper Age. And that's primarily what I'm going to do with this video. I don't think I'm going to, because I'm, this is supposed to be my recollections of that stuff as it was coming out. So, we're going to stick to that. I mean, if this was a series, I'd call it, the Copper Age of Comics by me or whatever, according to me or whatever. But it's all about me. Anyways, let's jump into it. Let's go to the, sorry, we're already at the main page here. Let me scroll up here. I always never know where to put myself. Yeah, okay, we can see it there. So, again, we're on week 15 to April. Again, you've probably been watching these videos right now. Like I said, the easiest way to get to this website is just put in fandom, week, whatever, just say week 15, 1985 Marvel Comics. It should take you to this specific site, and then you can navigate at the top. Again, because like I said, it's really hard to, unless I'm just doing something wrong, it's really hard to navigate through this screen. I know they say this every video, and I guess I'll have to keep saying it so people who don't know, but so anyways, these are the comics we've got that came out that week in 1985. Pretty decent amount of comics, really, and not a lot of the, what I call the junk titles. Muppet Babies, Star Imprint, Get Along Gang, Star Imprint. They're junk, but I really wasn't into those. Royal Roy down there. But and I kind of, like Marvel Tales, I kind of don't associate with that, just because it's just reprints. The only reprint books I ever got into, and it hasn't started yet, but what I got into was the classic X-Men. Just because at the time, to get those stories was really difficult. They didn't have any compilations up back then. Graphic novels weren't really, trade paperbacks. They didn't have the essentials. To buy those comics were pretty expensive. So I didn't, the only way to read those was to get the classic X-Men. But let's jump through these. I read most of them, and I didn't read all of them, and I'll tell you why. But we'll start out with the Avengers, I guess, of course. Or yeah, we'll start with the Avengers. I got them, I guess they were in a weird order in my folder. But anyways, the Avengers, Conan, 172, sorry, Avengers 257, Conan 172, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, number 37. Great comic, by the way, and I remember that vividly. And this comic specifically was one of the reasons why I wanted Flint, and and I wanted the that, I can't remember what the name of that little mini tank was. Like I said, that's what these comics were for. Just like the cartoons, they're there to sell toys. And when this comic came out, and I saw that, because I was getting this as a subscription at the time, I didn't have to buy this off the spinner rack. It's funny, I wanted to. I'd see it, because like my comic didn't come in yet, and I'd see it and like, oh, it's already out, and I don't have it yet. I'm gonna buy it. It's only 75 cents or 65 cents, whatever it was. It's like, I'm just gonna buy it anyways, and then I'll have 2 copies of it. I didn't do that with this one, but I think I might have done that one like once or twice. So I had extra issues, just because I couldn't wait. Because sometimes I get it early, sometimes I wouldn't. But and again, same thing with Transformers and my Star Wars subscription. Let's jump into these. Oh, sorry, let's just finish off rattling these off here. So, of course, Get Along Gang, number 2, Incredible Hulk, 309, Marvel Age, 28, Marvel Fanfare, 21, again, Marvel Tales, Volume 2, 177, Moon Knight, Volume 2, number 2, Muppet Babies, number 2, Power Man and Iron Fist, number 118. 85, yes, but Power Man and Iron Fist lasted a lot longer than I thought it did. It's kind of odd. ROM 68, I remember getting that comic specifically, that issue and that cover, really thinking that was cool. I remember, like I said, I can vividly picture it now being at West Junior High and having that comic in my, where, I used to have like a Trapper. I did have a Trapper Keeper, but I don't think I had a Trapper Keeper at that time. I had my sister's mauve red JanSport backpack. I had a Levi's jean jacket. I seemed to always be wearing a Iron Maiden shirt or something like that. Or I had a red hoodie that I liked too. And then, well, the reason I say that is just trying to remember what I have. I remember the folder. I think it was just a 3-ring binder that I had put folders in. I think I kind of made my own Trapper Keeper. The reason why is because I liked that plastic part where you could slip stuff in. I liked to like cut comics out or cut picture artwork out and shove it down in there. But I remember just having that specific comic in its bag, because I put it in a bag. Remember, I didn't use boards back then, and just slipped it in that one thing. I remember having that with me, walking around with that. Sorry. Royal Roy number 2, and of course Uncanny X-Men 195, which was we'll get to that comic, because they're going to go through it. There's a couple of reasons why that one really stands out. But let's jump to these. So let me switch over to the folder. I've got some CBRs, of course, in these. Yeah, they put these in a weird order. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I put the Avengers. Let's just do it in the order of the folder. It's easier than just keep going and clicking back. But let's just look at Conan number 1. Conan 172. Pretty good cover. He's a little, I don't know. It's built John Buscema, but I don't know. Not bad. These are the Picts. Not one of his strongest cover. It's striking with that red and the yellow, and then having that sky blue there for the rock, the mountainside. It's dynamic, it's got action to it, but it's fine for when you really sit there and so focus in on it. Some of the artwork's a little, I think it's zoomed in a little too much. It could pull back just a hair to get like the end of the those guys' ponytails there. I think it would have framed it better. But who am I to argue with John Buscema, Of course, yeah, he's doing penciling. Jim Owsley doing the writing. Bob Camp inking it. Yada yada yada. This one was kind of funny. Like I said, a lot of these are self-contained little stories. You got this, cute little red-haired girl, the daughter of this merchant who's a total jackass. Of course, because merchants are. And again, I want to point out you see how it looks? It's vaguely nomadic, very vaguely Arab, vaguely like it has like an Arabian feel to it, but at the same time has like a medieval feel to it. Obviously, they're not deep in the desert. I'm just saying, is Conan the Hyborian Age, it had such like a melding of like all these different cultures of a certain time, just all kind of melded into each other. That's, I think, what made it so exotic. And you don't see that. You don't really see that much anymore in a lot of fantasy. Well, I'm not going to get into modern day fantasy. I just learned about another fantasy genre, cozy fantasy. Roll my eyes at that one. I don't know if you're into cozy fantasy, but I know as soon as I just saw that the other day, it popped up, and I was talking with some friends about it, and I roll my eyes. I understand why it's a thing. Like I said, today's, I guess this would be a good point to bring this up. Remember, at the time, it's 1985, I'm a teenage boy, and I can't read. I mean, I can read, but I mean, I can't read well, is what I'm saying. Like, to get through a comic book for me was painstaking, because I could barely read. I didn't understand punctuation. I didn't understand, like, sorry. I didn't understand tone. For me to understand, like, to get the nuances of reading stuff simple as a comic book was so much work to me. But it was work that even though I didn't want to do the work in school and didn't want to put the effort in there, I really wanted to put the effort. That's how much I loved comic books. And, it's something that I think only a few people that I went, teachers and stuff, actually, keyed into. Most people just kind of dismissed it. But remember, I was a young teenage boy, 12 years old at the time, maybe actually still 11 at the time because I hadn't had my birthday yet, who couldn't read. And I was still trying to read comic books. I couldn't read a novel to save my life. But the thing is, I didn't have the internet. I didn't have, video games really, not yet, not to anything good. I mean, I still had my ColecoVision, but I mean, I wasn't playing it as much. I had that Texas Instruments computer. Again, that was a whole can of worms. I didn't get a Nintendo or a Sega Master System until like 86, 87. So I didn't have all these distractions. My dad had a VCR. My mom didn't. My mom didn't even have cable at the time in 1985. So if I was at my mom's house, and it was after school, and if cartoons were on, especially in the summer, this came out in April, but as the summer progressed, into the summer months, if I didn't have cartoons to watch, once cartoons were over, my mom's at work, I'm home all alone by myself. I usually went outside and started, riding my bike, or at the time, actually, I started mowing lawns, especially that summer, too. So I was kind of busy during the day. And, basically I'd take breaks, or when I was done doing the lawns and stuff, I'd sit around and I'd painstakingly read comic books, or go get the comic books or whatever. And, so boys did read, and I had peers at school who read comic books too. I had neighbors that read comics. Of course, I had peers at school who read novels, fantasy novels. I remember a lot of people talking about fantasy novels. Like, I really like to read that. But I was like, I don't know if I can do it. But today, kids, young boys, like my son, he kind of got into reading like 2-3 years ago, and he started to read, and he reads really well too. And today I was like, "Do you have any interest in reading?" He's like, "Oh, no. It's all about skateboarding with my son right now." So, young boys aren't reading anymore, and so, but young girls are. So the byproduct of that is, and this isn't a sexist thing. This isn't a us versus them kind of thing. It's completely logical. Most fantasy, sci-fi's kind of fallen out of favor because it's more of a boys genre, and fantasy, which always, was both, is more moving towards what girls like. And if girls like the cozy fiction, the low stakes stuff where combat and killing and violence is all, put it on the side, and it's more romance and baking bread, orc women baking bread. It's weird. I just think it's weird, that's all. I mean, but if that's what the girls want, that's what they're going to write. That's what they're going to put out. So you can see it by looking at how fantasy and comic books is another prime example. How many comic books have we gotten where the characters just sit around and talk about their emotions and go have bubble tea and go eat sushi, and talk, because that's what girls want, They don't want to see people throwing people through walls and people punching at the bad guys. So they don't want that. So, young boys aren't reading comic books either. And if young girls are reading comic books because they're catering them towards, and all the editors of these comic books and publishing companies are all like millennial women, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's all going to move towards stuff women like. It's not to say boys can't read that stuff, but I mean, is it really going to interest you? Probably not. Doesn't interest me. So I just wanted to put that out there. That's why things have changed. That's why these comic books here 40 years ago were a lot different than the Marvel comic books that are coming out right now, which they came out today. Actually, I have to go check and see what came out. Anyways, so again, this type of stuff, you got a guy, here's Conan, you got Pix. Actually, Conan's not here yet. You got the Pix, attacking these guys. I mean, this is stuff that boys like. These savages attacking, then Conan, an axe comes flying out of nowhere, takes a picked out. I mean, this is stuff boys like. Girls don't like this kind of stuff. You got the young girl here, she's the victim, she's the one that needs to be saved. I mean, this stuff doesn't happen. Now it's the girls, doesn't need Conan to help her. She jumps up and she starts, taking out Pix. Pay attention here real quick. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly, but look how young she looks, right? What would you say? She's 15, 16 years old, right? Watch what Buscema does with the art that makes Conan's he's like, oh, this silly little girl, blah 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 blah. As it goes, now watch this. He rips off. He needs this stuff for her dress or whatever. So here she is. That's totally a John Buscema face up there in the corner. But she ends up. I can't remember what she does. She changes, I think. She gets out of this because she's got whatever, this little under slip thing on. She changes out of it. I mean, this is classic Conan. Look at that. All these pics and stuff. So right off a Frazetta cover. But yeah, they're looking for her. He finds the dress. He's like, oh my gosh. And then, boom, she's found that there's a map on the inside of this dress. And then, boom, look at her now. It's just like, it's totally, it's very John Buscema, very 70s, 60s kind of fashion model stance there. But look how mature she looks now, right? Just funny how they did that. How he did that. It's kind of funny. They didn't notice. He never noticed her before. Conan, who basically has to sleep with every woman he sees. But obviously, they never say how old she is. So, but you assume she's young. And then suddenly, she's she's not so young anymore. Sorry, it sounded pretty creepy when I said that. Anyways, it's a pretty good comic. I recommend it. I did get that when it came out. And let's go to G.I. Joe number 37. I think this is kind of a harsh, just a scan of the actual comic book. But like I said, that cover, it's so iconic. It's so of that time too. Like, Flint. I want to get this Flint guy. And you got Footloose in there, and you got this cool mini tank because they need a cheap mini tank price point vehicle to kind of compete with the Hiss. And you got Zomax or Tomas Quintos. No, sorry, it's a friend of mine. Topaz and what are their names? The Crimson Twins. Let's just call them the Crimson Twins. Zaymot and Topaz. I can't remember his name is. Anyways, this is also what's her face? Bongo the Bear. I don't know if you know Bongo the Bear. It's an issue with Bongo the Bear. I can't remember her name is. This blonde-haired girl here with the curly blonde hair. She's Bongo. It's again, these comic books were here to sell toys, and that's exactly what they got you to do. It's like, we got some Hisses. Oh, sorry, there's a training exercise. They've got G.I. Joe who's using these old Hisses for training exercise, and here comes this mini tank. Hey, look, it's the G.I. Joe mini tank. All right, and the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and go out and buy it. Oh, we've got Lady J and Flint, these two new characters. Got to go buy them. We got the Crimson Twins. Oh, you got to go buy them. I'm surprised they never did a Bongo the Bear. figure. Of course, like Super 7 does all those like oddball comic book characters, but and then you've got Ripcord. Is it Ripcord or is it Footloose? That was Ripcord. Yeah, it's Ripcord. I think looks like Footloose almost. But the Halo jumper, or was it Footloose? I can't. You know, I just reread this the other day. I can't remember if it was Footloose or Ripcord. I swear it was Ripcord. Is he calling my name here somewhere? That is not Ripcord. Oh, whatever. Anyways, I got these like Crimson Guard like prototype-ish guys. These guys look cooler than what actually came out, but they're at this carnival, and then of course there's the big thing on the roller coaster where Flint jumps down, and they've got the mini tank, and you get this action here. Oh, you got to have the four-wheeler, I can't remember what it was called, the Cobra four-wheeler, not the Asp, the Fang? No, the Fang was the helicopter. I can't remember what the name of it is. I can't recall it at the top of my head. I had it. I used to put Storm Shadow in, because I got Storm Shadow and Firefly at the same time. I really like them. I'm sorry, my eyes are falling apart here. Bear with me. I'm going to try to keep going here. Yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, these comics, they are what they are. I would suggest, if you really want to read these, the best thing to do, I think, and you can get this, I think it's still available at most bookstores, at Barnes & Noble and stuff, because I saw it there with my weird experience with Barnes & Noble, speaking of the whole, how things have changed. But anyways, I did see it there. My friend picked it up, too. You can get it at the Omnibus, and I think it's like the first 30 issues, 40 issues. It's got a lot of comics in it. I would probably suggest picking that up and reading that, because you're going to get better versions of it. Tracking down these issues is a pain in the neck, and there are good PSDs, CBRs of these, but they're kind of hard to find. You kind of have to make them yourself. Dark Horse they put out a few cool, like, if you can get those, the compilations, like 12 issues in each one. And they did they did them for the whole series. But pretty good comic. I had, like I said, that one came in the mail. I wasn't going to read the Hulk, because last Hulk really bored the piss out of me, but I read the Hulk, this one, and this one, again, it made a little bit more sense, but he's tooling around with these weird, like, demons, and you got Bit from Tron over here, yes, no, yes, and you got this, it's a girl demon elf thing, but it's nude with no nipples or chest or genitalia. It's just this weird looking thing. They keep calling it a girl, which is weird. And then the Hulk, I don't. It's too weird. I don't like it. I don't like this weird kind of like. It's like when with like the New Mutants and stuff, and they start going into like limbo and stuff. I don't like that. Some reason it just bothers me. And we'll get to the ROM, because I'll tell you my opinion on the ROM thing as well. But I did read through this entire comic, and it wasn't terrible, but it really is like, oh, I hope it gets back to like a different, like more traditional Hulk stories, because it was really kind of just like a slog to get through. And I didn't have it. I never bought this when I was a kid. I didn't have this, like I said, I didn't have a lot of these Marvel Ages, but I picked them up once in a while. I didn't go back and read this one. It's got a cool Sienkiewicz Dazzler cover, which is pretty neat. Again, Fanfare, didn't actively pick up a Marvel Fanfare, but would get them on accident when I'd buy the little bundles. And the reason I would buy the bundles, too, is like, I'd go to the store and I would get new comics, and I'd have like a $10 bill, or a bunch of ones, or a bunch of quarters. I'd get there and there'd be like, I'd have like $4 in comics or $5 in comics if I was lucky. And I'd still have a few bucks left over. It's like, oh, I could go get a candy bar and a pop from Perry Drugstore, which became Rite Aid, and go get a pop in that. Or maybe I'll go across the street to the Kubla Khan and get myself a couple of orders of egg rolls, and I used to eat them like while I was walking, like candy bars. You know, or maybe I'll stop by and see if there's something else at Walden Books on the way back. But a lot of times I'd be like, oh, I'll just grab a couple of those ones. Like I could see a couple of comics and they'd be like, oh, I don't have these back issues. It's like an X-Men back issue or whatever, Spider-Man back issue, and I'd grab it, and then you'd get a third comic wedged in the middle. I think they were selling them for either 50 cents for you get 3 comics for 50 cents. You can't really go wrong with that. But you didn't know what the middle one was, and a lot of times it was Marvel Fanfare, and you're like, oh, Marvel Fanfare. But sometimes they were good. I didn't go back and read this one. It's a Hulk and Thing one. I was gonna, this is number 2, I was gonna get into reading these Moon Knights, but here's the thing that's funny about Moon Knight. I don't know if I said this in one of the other videos. How are we doing in time? Okay. Moon Knight, to me, when I first started looking at comic books seriously, like I said, around 84, I saw Moon Knight, the volume 1, not volume 2, and I was like, oh, he looks so cool. Like, Moon Knight, to me, looked visually so cool. Like, you couldn't see his face. He just had the eyes. He's got this giant white cloak with, like, the devil's point. He's got the Ankh. He's got the metal gauntlets and the metal, you know, things around his shins. And I was just like, he is so cool looking. But the comic is boring as shit. And it is not, it's, like, I didn't like it at all. So I'm kind of in the same spot. It's like, oh, this volume 2's out now. Maybe I'll keep reading these. I feel like this is too Bronze Age at the time. Like I said, I mean, you were looking. I wanted new and I wanted cutting edge. And it's 85, right? We're into the Copper Age now, which is the modern age. And I'm thinking towards the future. So stuff like Moon Knight, Power Man and Iron Fist, you know, all these like 70s kind of like, I used to call them like 70s hippie comics. So all these 70s hippies comics are just kind of, they're too 70s for me. And like I said, this is 85, I'm saying this. So I really couldn't get into them. Which brings us to, I didn't read this. I really do not like Power Man and Iron Fist. I don't have anything like adversely against it. It's just, it just doesn't appeal to me. I don't know why. I mean, you think, you know, I like kung fu movies. I didn't really know what black exploitation films were, but I didn't realize he was based off that kind of thing at the time. You know, I wasn't turned off because he was a black dude, because like I said, there was lots of black dudes I thought were cool. I really liked Falcon. I thought he was neat with this crazy looking costume. You know, I always call him Randy Rhodes. I liked Tony Rhodes, who was in, you know, Iron Man at the time, because it wasn't, you know, Stark in the costume. I liked him. It wasn't that I just was turned off by this black dude. You know, I don't know, for some reason these guys just did not appeal to me. And a cover like this, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like that either. So, again, I'm not going back. It's going to stop eventually, too, so I'm not going to read Power Man and Iron Fist. I didn't read them then. I'm not reading them now. Rom, let's just go through real quick. Because like I said, I had this comic book in my folder at school at the time, walking around. And I just thought it looked cool. I started to read it. Bill Mantlo, you know, Bill Mantlow's the Micronauts, which I'll get to that as well. I don't think there's a Micronaut issue this month. I think, or was there last one this week? But I don't know if I mentioned it last week. I kind of lost my interest in the Micronauts. I loved them when I was a kid, but me as a 52-year-old now, thinking of my 12-year-old years, I liked it when I was 12. And I read New Voyages up until it stopped, and I read the ROM all the way up until it stopped. But I don't know. Going back on this now, I really can't get into this. Like I said, I was gonna start reading it again, and I was like, oh, it just doesn't appeal to me at all. It's just, I don't know, it lost its whatever it had. for me then it lost it. I mean, I still think in theory he's cool, you know, the Space Knight guy, but I don't know. I was like, I'm not going to read it. So I did read the Avengers. Obviously, this kind of is continuation from when they go to the Savage Lands, and then they meet up with Kazar here. Again, it's John Buscema art, so you know it's always going to be awesome. And again, this is also John Buscema doing the Savage Lands, because remember, Buscema said he really didn't like to draw modern day stuff because he hated drawing downtown New York. I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to draw downtown New York either. So he really liked fantasy, and he really liked Conan because he could draw these fantasy landscapes and stuff, which is a lot of wilderness, some castles, some cities, but they were all like medieval and stuff. So when he's doing the Savage Land, I mean, the Savage Land is pretty much just a tropical wilderness, right? Tropical forest, jungle. So it's and you got Kazar, and Kazar is essentially looks just like Conan, just his blonde hair. So this is where he shines. You know, he does do space stuff in this, which he does also very well. But he really shines really well in here. And you got the Black Knight, which is, you know, essentially a medieval character. You got Captain America was essentially a swashbuckler. So you got Hercules, who's again this is essentially a fantasy comic. You got this giant, you know, Terminus, this giant walking monolith, which again, you know, I love how they do the shiny stuff with the little segmented lines. Man, my nose is really plugged up. I took some, the whatever you call it, the cocaine, the snorting stuff, the, what's it called, Sinex. I put some Sinex in there, so I've dried out a little bit, but it's coming back a little bit. My throat's starting to get a little... I didn't really get a sore throat for this cold, but it's kind of a cold flu, but talking doesn't help, makes it tight. Anyways, it would have been really cool if, you know, if the Masters of the Universe comic, if they figured it out at the time and they had Buscema draw it, that would have been really cool. That would have been really neat. There's Shauna. He's looking good. Like I said, I mean, Steve Buscema has one woman. There's comic book artists, and I do the same thing myself, is we have a specific girl face or guy face, and like John Byrne, all his women, like, you know, Scarlet, I probably mentioned this before, Scarlet Witch, Invisible Woman, even She-Hulk, everybody has a face, and you know that it's Byrne by that face. Everybody has the same face, and they have kind of the same body too. Even though he draws She-Hulk bigger, she still essentially has the same body as Scarlet Witch, or as Invisible Woman. Buscema's the same thing. All of his women look the same, but all of his women, as we noticed in the Conan comic, you know, with the girl looking older, she's all va-va-voom, they all look like one woman. And supposedly the woman, I don't know if this is 100% true, could just be a rumor, but it makes a lot of sense, and if you look at it, it really makes sense, is apparently he was obsessed with Raquel Welch. She's an old woman now. I think she's still alive. She's really old. But I mean, at the time, you know, that she was, you know, a lot of young guys' fantasies was Raquel Welch. I mean, she was really beautiful when she was young. But if you look at her face and the whole way she stands and carries herself, most of his women are based off of Raquel Welch. Look at a picture of her face and then look at one of his close-ups in a comic book and you'll see it. There's one guy on the internet actually like superimposed, he took a picture of her face and superimposed his drawing of a woman close-up over her face, and like the way he does the cheekbones, it all matches her face perfectly. And of course, you know, the way she'd carry herself when she walked with that whole kind of like, you know, that whole thing. I'm trying to think of some cliched, you know, Looney Tunes thing, you know, where the woman comes out like, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So, Just pointing that out. Yeah, people probably, if you're really in the comics, you probably noticed all this stuff. But oh, it's the Star Fox comes and saves her before the Terminus destroys their house. Blah blah blah. And then flash forward, Monica Rambeau. She's millions of light years away on this ship with these mercenaries. These like kind of space pirates. And you know, so like I said, he does tech really well. He does like these just long panels of just greeblies. He does that really well. The way he frames his shots too. And then what's her face shows that's Nebula's there. It's great Nebula too. But you've got you've got Monica Rambeau and Nebula going head to head here. And speaking of black characters, I really like Monica Rambeau. I really like this version. I don't like the new modern version. I like this one with the hair, the giant hair, and the way he draws her costume with those black tights on. I really like that a lot. I like it a lot. Sorry, creep you out. She's such a nice person. Sorry, I won't get into my other crazy friend with his. She's such a nice person. You have no idea what I'm talking about. I won't explain it because I don't want to embarrass him. So he might watch. But anyways, yeah. This is like I said. This Buscema, I mean, it's Avengers Buscema. This is textbook Marvel Comics drawn the Marvel way. I mean, I got the book right over there. It's been my Bible the entire time. I think I got mine in 1984, my book, and you know, it's written by Stan Lee and Buscema, and he's got his stamp all over this. So when you see his artwork, especially if it's in Marvel, especially if it's like the Avengers doing Captain America or even doing the Conan, it's all textbook how to draw comics the Marvel way. And of course, you know, he started out as a Kirby clone, but obviously I like him a lot better than Kirby. And of course, because he modernized it, he took it a lot farther than Kirby did. He's also a lot better of a figure artist than Kirby was. Kirby wasn't bad, but Buscema's known for his figure work, and that's kind of what I'm known for because I kind of matched my my style off of. We're really honing in on the figure. I can't do what he does here. I can't get my figure to look that good. I can get in a static pose and semi-action stuff. I'm pretty good, but you know, I get some stances that are pretty fluid, but not as good as his. Anyways, you can see the little alien guy inside the Terminus. They leave him to die too. That was pretty crazy. That is fuck him. Let him die. I just thought that was crazy. Wow, they just let him die. Wait! He doesn't die. You know, nobody dies in comic books, but I just thought that was pretty crazy. And then the last one we'll go through here is, of course, this X-Men. Now, this is a great X-Men comic, and I'll show you why. The first part of it, again, I didn't read Power Pack. I'm not going to... And it's going to show up Power Pack. I might restart reading Power Pack. I don't know. Again, I just don't have any interest of these really little kids running around being superheroes. But obviously, when they're in other comics or when characters that more adult characters are in their comic, it's good. It's done well. And from what I gather, Power Pack was well written. I think it was Louise Simonson, I believe, or maybe not. Can't remember. But of course, this is Claremont, Romita, John Romita Jr., JJ Jr., and Dan Green. You know, all the regular cast of guys. And Ann Nocenti edited. I mean, this is classic. It's not classic X-Men, but to me, this is classic X-Men team. Claremont, John Romita Jr., even though I have a love-hate relationship with him, as I've always said in multiple videos. Dan Green inking, Tom Warzachowski doing the lettering, Glennis Oliver doing the coloring, Ann Nocenti being the editor, and Jim Shooter, of course, editor-in-chief. This is the dream team. But it starts out with Power Pack, and most of the first part of this comic is Power Pack. They do this whole thing where you know, the parents don't know who their kids are after this lightning strike, and then the kids are like, what's going on? They run out, they use their powers, blah, blah, blah. They end up in the sewers, and of course the Morlocks, right? I mean, it's pretty much the the long and short of what happens. And then, of course, the X-Men have, you know, Kitty Pryde hears about it. She's like, oh, you know, she gets all the mother, you know, I mean, she's a young adult. She gets very, you know, mother hen type of thing. I mean, obviously she's old enough to have her own kids, but she gets very mother henny about them, so she wants to go, or Mama Bear, or whatever you want to call it, syndrome, whatever that is. And she's like, I'm going to go save these kids. She's got the classic Shadow Cat costume on, which is my favorite costume she's always had, is the Shadow Cat. Rogue's in my favorite costume as well. She's got the black bodysuit, she's got the crop top, the white belt, and then the boots. That's my favorite. This is 85 Rogue. So, I mean, this classic 85 Rogue. Favorite Wolverine costume. I'm not gonna. I don't know if this is technically this group of X-Men is my favorite X-Men. Maybe. I mean, I really like Rachel Summers, Phoenix. I like Shadowcat. I like Rogue. I don't know if it's my all-time favorite. It's definitely the one I started with, or the one that was most popular when I first started. Because I still like I think Colossus is still in the band. He's still in the band. It's just I think he's away, or does he show up? I can't remember. Well, he's still in the band, I think, because wasn't he in the last issue we went through? I think he was. Sorry. You read so many comic books, your brain gets... And right now my brain is fried. That panel, though... Sorry to bounce back and forth here, but that panel, Wolverine's face like that, where they do it all black, with that red background, and goes... That's just... You know, like I said, when John Romita Jr. is good, he is damn good. When he is bad, he is damn bad. He is terrible. And you get this, it's just this flop back and forth of sometimes he's great, sometimes he's terrible, sometimes he's great, sometimes he's terrible. And he did that with Spider-Man too. It's just like, oh, he drive me nuts. But when he's good, when he's on, he's on. And again, I think his dad was helping him a lot. Maybe not at this time, but when his dad helped him out a lot. Actually, yeah, his dad was helping him at this time, because his dad inked a few of these comics too, which really kind of tightened him up. And he also, you know, I think he was kind of ripping off Miller a little bit too, of course, who wasn't at the time. So the X-Men come to save, obviously, the Power Pack kids. Because they know about the Morlocks. They know the Morlocks. And Morlocks basically had like a truce, like they weren't supposed to mess with any of it. They were like not. So it's all like, you know, there's a truce. And some of them obviously violated the truth, including what's her face, was it Anna Lee, the mother? She's like, you know, I guess she lost her kids or whatever, so she's, you know, she wants kids, doing that whole classic cliche. Great vertical panel with them at the bottom like that. You got Rogue's hair, Wolverine's head, the suit, they're so recognizable. And one thing that I really like that Romita does that not a lot of people do is they really use of black. Where, look at Wolverine, it's like you're just making that all black. You're not even really putting in white lines to like show where lines would be. You're just doing all black silhouettes of that. Rogue's outfit, that all black, no shine to it at all. It's not like she's wearing like a sheer, you know, shiny spandex. It's like matte black. That's cool. I like that a lot. And it's contrasts so nice with like the greens and stuff. And when you have to put in a line, you'll have to put in a line. Obviously, there's some up here, you know, to kind of differentiate a line. Otherwise, it looks a little too filled in. But he manages it well. And I'll show you a page. This sequence here, I love this sequence. I've always loved this sequence as a kid. One of the Morlocks Leech grabs Rogue. And of course, you know, she's got the green in it now because there's the light's hitting it. So it's technically like, I guess it was a dark green? I always thought it was black. I don't know, maybe because of the other greens reflecting off of it. I don't know exactly what the intention was. In my mind, it's just a pure black bodysuit. Of course, she wears that, you know, so nobody touches her skin. But Leech obviously touches her skin. But remember, Leech nullifies powers. So he just nullified her powers, and now these brutes, these Morlock brutes, come to attack her, and she doesn't have any powers. So she's got to rely on her, literally her fighting ability to kind of get out of this. And I love that panel right there where she's doing the back kick and the front punch. I love that. The figure work in that, the way the hair is, I love that. You know, doing the flying side kick. I've always loved this page. I mean, I like this page too, but I've always loved this page. It's just got classic Rogue in that costume too. It's just very appealing. Probably one of my favorite pages with Rogue on it of that time is that page there. And then of course Wolverine shows, and see how Wolverine's black blends in with the background like that. I really like that. Callisto shows up and says like, "Hey, sorry, my Morlocks are being douches. I'm going to tell them to quit." And then they restore them back to normal, blah, blah, blah. They save the day. I wish Rachel was in it a little bit more. It's funny. Rachel's, which is Phoenix 2, which is the, you know, the Tales of Future Past daughter of Jean Grey and Scott Summers. I really like her. I love the hair. I love the punky hair, the ponytail. I always loved that. But she's got her comics where she shines. But I really like that. So yeah, this is a classic. One of my favorite. Even though X-Men are only in it for like half the issue, but when they show up, they're in it, and you know, and that page there, I just love it. Love that. And then to me, that's classic X-Men. And it's the X-Men that I fell in love with at the time. So there they are. Let's go back to the list, wherever it is. Of course, now my anti-spyware crap has gone off. So how do I get rid of that without losing the page? Let me fix this. Let me go back to this. So here, I'm gonna put you on this for a minute, just so I don't break the continuity here, and fix this real quick. Poof. Let's go back to this page. Poof. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. It's weird. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to show you. There's that page I was talking about with the Key Copper Age comics, and they got the 84 to 91 there. And they talk about all the different. They talk about the age here, and they talk about this with the Key Copper Age comics. Number one, the number one ranked highest of the Copper Age is Amazing Spider-Man 300. I can see that. It's first appearance of Venom. It's McFarlane's issue 300. It's classic. I wouldn't put New Mutants 9, even though probably by sales, it's probably the most popular. I guess it's by the CGC count. When we get to those, I'll talk about my issues with those. You got Secret Wars number 8. I mean, I have a poster right there back up my wall, so if I move my head, it's the other one. Yeah, I'd say that's probably definitely one of them. X-Men 226, Amazing Spider-Man 252, the Wolverine number 1, in 89. That was a great one. You know, New Mutants 87, Killing Joke. This has got DC in it as well. X-Factor number 6, I believe, is the first appearance of Apocalypse. Amazing Spider-Man 298. Incredible Hulk 340. I think that's the one with Wolverine in it. For Wolverine's on the cover with the claws. Web of Spider-Man number 1. Got a poster to that in my poster case. Infinity Gauntlet number 1. Like, again, this is it came out in 91, and that's when I was about out of comic books. So I never really got into the Infinity Gauntlet. X-Men number 1 with, the highest grossing comic book of all time. That was 91. Like I said, I ended up getting that, but I didn't get that right off the rack. I got that. It's funny. I'll tell the story real quick. So I went on. I just graduated high school. I just got a new job at the movie theater in Rochester, the AMC Hampton movie theater. If you ever were there, between like 91 to 93. You would have saw me there. And I was young. I was just out of high school. Anyways, when I was there, I met some guys. I actually re-met some guys that I've known for years. And they all were going to go to Florida for a Disney trip. And so I was like, oh, okay. And we were big comic book people. Of course, when we got down there, we were looking around for all the comic book shops. And, you know, I remember the one buddy says, like, hey, did you get the X-Men #1? Or did you get the new X-Men comics? And I go, no, I saw them, but I haven't bought them. He's like, oh, you should get them. And I go, I don't like Jim Lee. I didn't like Jim Lee at the time. It's like, I mean, it's cool looking artwork. I don't know. For some reason, it just bothered me. And so I ended up getting, finally, I think I got up to like issue 10. And I was like, I was kind of tapped out. I was like, once he left, I really was like, oh, no, I'm not going to keep up with this. But obviously, that's what happened at that time. Tales of Teen Titans. Like I said, there's DC, there's Dark Knight Returns. You know, you got Watchmen #1. I mean, this is Sandman #1. You know, didn't like Sandman, but I understand it's popular. This stuff is like, me personally, I know people argue for whatever, you know, if you grew up, if your teenage years were the Silver Age, your teenage years were the Bronze Age, your teenage years were the whatever after the Copper Age, you were, you know, you're a millennial or even younger, which they don't read comic books. But anyways, you know, you're always going to say that's the year, you know, oh, those are the years. I argue, though, I mean, I also argue both ways. I argue that this is the most pivotal time in comic books, especially with Marvel and DC, is this whole right up before the Image break, right? However, on the flip side of it, it's also, I find, to be when comics died because of the Image break and because of the speculator, you know, bubble bursting. So I think it was both the best and the worst time for comic books was this Copper Age. Like I said, you've got these such tremendous titles and such huge comic books coming out. At the same time, you had the fall. At the same time, like, you could say, okay, well, yeah, the 60s was the big dawn of the Marvel Age, yeah, but it kept going and got more popular. You could say, oh yeah, the Bronze Age is the best year because of, you know, it became more sophisticated, more adult, and more, you know, more edgy. But it kept going. I mean, it kept getting more popular, right? It wasn't the end. It might have been the end for DC with the DC implosion thing, but they obviously righted the ship, you know, after the Crisis thing, and obviously with, you know, Dark Knight Returns, Killing Joke, stuff like this. So they definitely they righted the ship. But this is like when everything had that, you know, speaking of train, you can hear the train outside. It was like a freight train. It was just hit you with these great comics, but at the same time, boom, it all exploded all at the same time. Like I said, it's like the star that burned too bright kind of thing. Or what's Roy Batty saying in Blade Runner? The star that burns twice as bright burns twice. I can't remember. Lives shorter life, or however he says that. I can't remember. Let me again. I'm trying to fix this so I can get back to that page. Here we go. Okay, I'm back. All right. So let's do my closing because we're right up on the hour. Which comics did I have? Which ones did I buy off the spinner? Which ones did I get in? And you should know by now which ones I got in subscription. But anyways, you probably know by now. Even if I didn't tell you, you could probably tell which comics that I bought and which ones I didn't. But let me tell you anyways. Avengers, yes, got it right off the rack. Conan, I want to say yes, but it could have been, I got the one without the cover from my cousin. But I think I did buy that one off the rack. G.I. Joe, subscription. Get Along In, nope. Hulk, nope. Marvel Age, nope. Fanfare, nope. No, I didn't have that one. I had another one with Thing's face on the cover. It wasn't that one, though. Marvel Tales, no. Moon Knight, no. Puppet Babies, no. Fireman Iron Fist, no. ROM, I did buy. I did have that one. I bought that one off this, even though I don't like it now. Royal Roy, I don't even remember Royal Roy. I keep saying that, but I don't remember that. And X-Men Show, yeah, I bought that one right off the spinner rack, or well, like I said, there was a spinner rack at Fireside when I got the Fireside, but at the specific time, until '87, most of my comics were bought at their sister store, the Rochester Book Center, which, again, they just had a wood shelf that they built instead of an actual. I think they did have a spinner rack next to it, but the spinner rack had all of those bundles on it, and then their new comics were on the shelf. I think that's how they did that. But again, when you go to Fireside, which is their sister store, they just had a spinner rack, and they had a couple of boxes on the floor with the bundles in it. So, all right, that is week 15 of 1985. So the second week of April. This will be posting next week, which will be week 15, the second week of April of 2025, 40 years later. Into whatever age you want to call the comic now. Now would be the modern age, or the current age, right? And we're at a 5-year period, so I would say right now is when we should be switching to the next age of comics, whatever. But, all right, so next week I will also record week 16. I think I've read them all. I started reading them. I don't think I've read them all, but I started reading them for week 16. Again, I'm not going to read them all, but we'll do week 16 and we'll knock that one out. And then it's going to be the end of April, and hopefully it'll be nice out. Hopefully I can get rid of all this cold. Hopefully my face stops breaking out. Hopefully it's just, like I said, I hate the winter. And it's technically spring. I just hate this time of the year. Ugh. But anyways, I just thought that was funny. Yeah, they had the people mowing the lawn last week, and they had snow this morning. April. April showers brings May flowers. All right, we went over an hour, so I'm going to stop it here. So again, go back and check out some of my old ones, if you want to jump in where this is at. Obviously I didn't start out at the beginning of the year with the series, so it is what it is where it's at. I'm probably not going to go back and play catch up, but if I keep doing these and I keep going with this, I'll probably do it well into the next year. So I'm going to try to do this, finish all of 85 though, and do this for every single week of 85. I might miss a week here, some weeks might be a little late, but I'm going to try to get them all in. So, all right, check on me next time, and like, subscribe, and that stuff if you want to. I'm not a big plugger of that, but help me get more than 30 views on a video. All right, I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.